What's up, everybody? Welcome out to the weekend wrap-up. I'm your host, Shane Larson, also known as the Game Time Guru, and I'm flying solo today. Hopefully we can get Miles back for the discussion next week, if at all possible. So I'm on my way to the gym this morning, wanted to give you some thoughts on a few things that happened in the sporting world over the weekend. It was the NFL Combine, and I've given my thoughts on the NFL Combine in the past. And that the one thing about the Combine is it frustrates me that they don't do any of the drills in their pads. I've said it before. I did a podcast last year. If you haven't listened to it, go back and check it out. My stance is still the same when it comes to the Combine. These guys should be doing their drills and their pads and their helmets. If for quarterbacks, at least their shoulder pads and their helmet. Your throwing mechanics are completely different when you have shoulder pads on. Any quarterback will tell you that, at least in a helmet too. Like your vision's different, your range of motion with your shoulders different. All these things, it's different when you have shoulder pads on. It's more restrictive, so you have to adjust your throwing mechanics when you have shoulder pads on. And it might be minimal to the guys that are competing at that level. At the same time, though, there is some sort of difference. So I believe they should be doing the drills in their pads. That's my thoughts. Never are you going to see a guy on the field going in his skimpies running around. But that said, I do think that Leighton Vander Esch made a name for himself, small town guy out of Idaho. So us Boise folk here got to root on Leighton Vander Esch, who is from a very small town. Like you think Boise's small compared to other major cities around the country. Well, Leighton Vander Esch is from a smaller town, much smaller town, and the fact that he was out there and he got to compare his athleticism with those of some major universities, the Ohio States, the Alabamas, those, and be able to at least compete and be in the middle of the pack was pretty good. He looked solid, and that was cool to see. So I guess in the sense of like comparing your athleticism to others for those scouts that didn't get to see you, it is good. That said, if you're a good scout, you should be watching these smaller school guys make a name for themselves throughout the season. My thought is this: if you're a good scout, you should actually see their production on the field. You shouldn't have to base it on them running around in their underwear and very tight, shirts and spandex pants to see how athletic they are. You don't get to actually see their instincts. You don't get to see their production on the field, just their natural IQ of the game when you're watching them run around in their underwear. So I think they should be doing it in their pads, and I think the scouts need to get better at least like paying attention to these names across the country. The fact that Leighton Vander Esch didn't have the notoriety and the just the credit has not been given to him after the season he had. Like people should have been watching him a long time ago. And that's what kind of bugs me. That shows me that the scouts weren't doing their job when it came to looking at the Northwest in football. But Combine was kind of cool because Shaquem Griffin, the one-armed linebacker from UCF, just looked incredible. Dominated the 40-yard dash. Did the bench press of 225 pounds. He had a mechanical arm on his left arm that he attached to the bar and then to his arm, obviously, and then he did his 225-pound reps. Dude, he just killed it at the Combine. I'm excited to see what he'll do. He keeps proving people wrong that, whatever your limitations are, you use it as a strength and you just go. You can totally tell that he wasn't going to let, his whole life, like he wasn't going to let one arm just dictate what he could do on the football field. Instead, he used it as a strength, and he is a monster. I cannot wait to see him at the NFL level. I think he's going to be a stud wherever he goes. He was a stud in college. I think he'll be a stud wherever he goes in the NFL. One other topic I wanted to bring up from the weekend is high school basketball, which I'm going to bring up in a podcast. I'm actually recording one later this week. And we have an interview coming up about shot clocks in high school basketball. So I'm not going to talk too much about the shot clock. I posted it on Instagram. You guys can see my thoughts there. But in regards to high school basketball in general, I went to the state basketball tournament to see the championship games this weekend, and I usually do that every year. I try to see some games from the state tournament since it's in my, right next to my hometown. So it's sad to me that like high school basketball has changed so much. The game has changed so much. And what I'm noticing is there are some good athletes, but there are also like not as many it's not as dominant as it once was, 10, 15 years ago. Because even when I was playing, we had a lot of talent across the board here in southern Idaho. There was a lot of talent on multiple teams that were playing at a high level. But even before that, like you rewind it 3, 4, 5 years before that, even up to 10 years before that, and those same guys that were playing then would say during our time, like, the talent pool is just not the same. They don't have the same talent. Well, then you fast forward now, 10 years from when we played, 12 years from when we played, and it's the same thing. It seems like the talent level just keeps declining and declining for high school sports, especially high school basketball, and it's sad to see. I'm not sure exactly what's happening with that. I'd like to say it's just, there's just a difference it's just a different era, like a different generation. It's a shift in mindset. Maybe it's esports, who knows? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because you obviously heard my podcast last week on esports and how it's growing. I wonder if that's what it is, though. I don't know. It's a new generation. The players aren't coming up playing basketball like they once did. They have different hobbies, different things they can do now as they're younger. And it was just it's a little sad to see, even though the basketball's still pretty good to watch. I mean, you can see that they're having fun. There's the passion and everything behind it. It's the athleticism and the talent level, though, is just not the same. But it was a really cool tournament to watch. You'll hear my thoughts on the shot clock in high school basketball in a podcast that's going to either be launching this week or the next week after that. So I just wanted to make my thoughts clear on that. It's just kind of sad to see, but I love high school basketball. I love high school sports. I've said it before, the passion behind it is just so insane. The students do their, synchronized cheers, whatever. The fans are crazy. State basketball has this smell to it when you go into the arena. There's just a smell. There's food, there's chocolate milk, there's just like this. It's just like a good time every time you go, and it's like that same time of the year. It's March Madness coming up. It's just a good time. So anyways, those are my quick weekend thoughts. It's my weekend wrap-up. I'm looking forward to March Madness going forward, some more college basketball tournaments, people punching their tickets to the big dance, and we'll see what happens. Going into next weekend, though, we'll probably have a little bit more to talk about in regards to March Madness and all of that jazz. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, go to Instagram and go to @GameTimeGuru. Check it out. I'm going to be posting some more behind-the-scenes stuff, giving you more thoughts, interacting with my followers. And hey, give me a follow, subscribe to the podcast, and if you can, leave me a review on iTunes. I'd greatly appreciate it. We'll talk to you guys next week.